Did you tell me just now that you learned how to call the frogs?
That's actually really true. I know everybody laughs at me, but when you call the frogs, the whole woods starts to react.
Oh yeah, this is a perfect scenario. You're talking right off the kitchen, out the back door, and this is what you have to come outside to. There's the bog filter. We got a bridge crossing the whole thing. That water quality, it doesn't get any better than that. That is clear right to the bottom. Got a set of steps going down into the pond, easy access. This is a nice size setup for a recreation pond. But I think the best part is that waterfall coming off the back end of the pond down into the reservoir.
I had this beautiful all-natural pond, swimming pond put in for myself. It's incredibly easy to take care of. The filtration system is amazing. I basically do nothing to it except add the appropriate all-natural nutrients, I would call it, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what
Enzymes, bacteria.
Yeah. I wasn't expecting the size, the depth. I wasn't expecting the clarity of the water. I wasn't expecting it to be this easy to maintain. I thought about putting a pool in, and the idea of putting a pool in my backyard, I couldn't comprehend the visual part of what Alan was creating, what he created on paper. And then after seeing his pond at his home, that just sealed the deal. And for me, I like all natural. You know, I don't want to be putting chemicals in water and then swimming in it. So that's basically my decision. He showed me the plans. We talked about budget. I said, let's do it. So at first, because I've been living in the city, metropolitan cities for so long, I was like, oh my gosh, wow. And then I couldn't believe the frogs, all sorts of callings and mating happening, but it's not intrusive. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's really interesting because there's not 100 frogs. There's 4, and they sort of all keep their placement in the pond and respect each other.
Did you tell me just now that you learned how to call the frogs?
I did learn how to call the frogs. There are several different callings of frogs. There's one specific one that I got really good at, and then that's actually really true. I know everybody laughs at me, but when you call the frogs, the whole woods starts to react. And there's different types of frogs. There's not just one. As we speak, that was a frog.
Yeah.
There's not just one frog communicating out there. There's all different kinds.
There's a lot going on here between the wetland filter, and you've got a waterfall, then you've got this whole series of cascades going into the bottom area. When you guys were designing this, how did you come up with the idea to use the topography to make all that happen?
Well, it's quite simple. Alan is the designer, and I don't know that I even had the idea of doing that. He presented it to me on paper. The one thing that I wanted was some sort of a pad to do yoga and enjoy, and then I definitely wanted a fire pit. So most of that was his design. I actually wanted it pushed off into the woods, and we went back and forth on that, but Alan wanted it nice and close, and I'll tell you right now, if I didn't listen to him, it would have been a regret. It would have been a major regret.
Everything's got to be interactive.
Right.
And you seem like a very interactive person anyway, so I think, that's kind of, I got that read from you.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that you can come out of your door and it's right there, or you can open a window and listen to the sound.
Yep.
Is an important thing that people miss that if it's back in the corner or something like that.
I couldn't agree anymore, because I'm getting the sound from my kitchen, I'm getting the sound from my master bedroom, and from my office. Being able to look out my kitchen and see what's going on here, birds coming in, the frogs.
When Becky first asked me to come up here, we were kind of looking from, the view from inside the house, and then when I came out and saw the elevation, right away it clicked that we could have an infinity edge here, because as builders, that is a dream for us to have that elevation drop. So I know we had talked originally and you were like, how is this going to work because the grade drops off? And it's very hard for us to explain to people what we're thinking, but I love that grade change.
I didn't even try and work with another company, get another quote. I just knew based on what I saw in your backyard, that's what I wanted. And then this whole waterfall feature, I had no clue. And when I came home from a business trip, I cried. I couldn't believe it. I literally cried. I think I texted you how many times?
Yeah.
You know, oh my God, and I still feel that way.
The cool part too is that when you have that infinity edge and the topography allows you to have that infinity edge in that waterfall, that fire pit at the bottom, it's wherever you walk you have different levels of sound and serenity.
That's right.
And you know, I think that's one of the things that I love the most about the lower end is it's just a whole different feel.
People when they come over, they walk up it and walk around it like it's out in the middle of nowhere, and that's what I love about it, because it literally looks like it was here, all natural, and we built a house around it. When I watched these guys from my office build it, I couldn't believe it. I have so many pictures of you guys taking the stone, putting it in, Alan coming over, looking at it like this, and then discussing it, and then taking it out, take it out, and redesigning it so that every stone, and when you look in there, and when I had 8 people in here last week, somebody was sitting over on one of the little steps you made. Somebody was sitting over in the seats that strategically are set throughout here. It's brilliant, brilliant.
What a great setting right up against the house. This pond fits just perfectly in this environment. I love that waterfall coming off the backside. It's just got the right amount of topography to make all those large cascades happen with those big boulders. Who wouldn't want to be sitting right at this fire pit, taking all that in? And it's just creating all those different vantage points because you've got it right out the windows of the house. You've got that little back porch area. You've got another patio off to the side. So all those vignettes of places to sit, when you entertain, people get to spread out and have little cliques of conversations, and they're separated by the sound of water, which gives that perfect auditory cutoff between those sitting areas. This pond is really picture perfect. A recreation pond this size with that negative edge waterfall, the constructed wetland filter, you're probably in the $125,000 to $140,000 range. Add in all the landscaping with the steps and the patio areas and the bridge and the plants around it, you're getting up around that $200,000 range. Yes, it's expensive, but when you're talking about creating an environment like this that's going to be mimicking nature, if it's something that's in your wheelhouse, I'd take this over a pool any day. I really love the different aspects that these recreation ponds give you. Not only can you swim in them, when you've got the wildlife component and the aquatic planting along with the landscape, I don't know how you beat that. Let's go see another one. Got a nice home here. See what's around the back. Oh yeah, I see a constructed wetland filter right off the back of the house. Stream system going down underneath. Look at that crossing. That's awesome. And of course, another crystal clear, beautiful pond. Come on, right to the bottom. See every stitch of gravel. What an awesome pond. You guys will notice one thing about these ponds. It's not just the pond itself, it's the whole environment. The patios, the stepping stones that are incorporated right into the edge, bridges, the streams encompassing the backyard, making it part of the living space.
My wife has always had an idea, a kind of a vision for about 7 or 8 years now of a backyard natural swimming pond with a waterfall, and just started doing some online research, and we came across Alan and just saw some of the pictures on his website, and my wife was like, yep, this is kind of the concept I have, the vision. So we met with Alan out at his house and saw the pond there, certainly fell in love with it from there, and then he showed us a couple of others to look at, and then he came out and did a consultation, and the rest is what you see here. You know, we just kind of gave a couple points to Alan, and he helped us look at the slope of the backyard and what would flow nicely, and it didn't take very long for him to put the idea on a plan and share them with us, and it came together really nicely, and I think the whole thing was done in about 14 days. We were amazed. Well, the kids and the dog definitely use it a lot. They love it. The depth is perfect. You can take a nice plunge or a cannonball, or the dog jumps off to get a toy, and I like to kind of just sit and dangle my feet, have a drink. But there's a couple of really nice spots, especially in like that 4-foot zone there where, you know, you can kind of lounge half in, half out of the water, and we get perfect sunlight back here for most of the day, so it's just a really nice oasis back here. Definitely watching the water just come down from the waterfall. It's mesmerizing to watch and to listen to. It's really nice when you're sitting out here and just hearing that water, or at night opening the windows and hearing that. It's lit up at night too. Underwater lights come on automatically, so it lights up everything here, even up in the waterfall, so you can enjoy it both day and night. And then of course the fire pit. You can sit back there and you see the waterfall up here and here. It's just really relaxing.
All right, Alan, let's talk about how much a project like this costs. Like just the pond, the stream and waterfall, that bridge, the stepping rock, the intake, and the wetlands. So without the landscaping, what are we looking at?
We're looking at about 65,000.
So 65 grand, that's a great looking pond for 65 grand.
Definitely.
By the time you add in patios and fire pits and all that, what kind of project are we discussing?
I mean, you're probably adding, I would say, with all the plants and everything that we did there, we did a pea stone patio, so you're probably somewhere around 83 total. That's
a pretty good price. So I know for us down in Jersey, it's gonna be a little bit more because our cost of material, the cost of labor is more. So this is probably $100,000+ project for us. But up here for $80,000–$85,000 to have an oasis like that in the backyard, I think that's pretty affordable, especially when you're considering pool budgets. And it seems like they really use the heck out of it with the kids and the dog. And one of the things Mike said to me was he loves how he sees the frogs laying eggs. Now they've got tadpoles. They're actually transporting some of the tadpoles down to a pond down the street so they give them a better home because they know that they're not all gonna make it. But one thing I'm really getting from all this is people really love the interaction of the whole environment.
I guess one of the things I always tell people, this might not be for everybody.
Right.
But the people that want this are living it. Like, he's an educator. He's a principal at a school, and you know, so the tadpoles, that whole learning process, I mean, they want the kids to be interactive with it. They grew up on a lake, you know, so when they can't go to the lake on the weekends. And the cool part is his son Sawyer, I mean, we opened this thing up in April. That kid was in it the same day we opened it. That kid has got guts.
The thing about these rec ponds is it's not a sterile environment like a swimming pool.
No.
Like, there are things happening in here and they change daily.
Right.
You know, whether it's a little bit of algae or it's the frogs or the snails or if there's fish in it, there's so much going on. It's a backyard classroom on top of having something that's so enjoyable.
So if you've got a swimming pool with chlorine and chemicals and stuff in it, the only time you're gonna see a frog in it is when it's dead in your skimmer, right? Or a dragonfly is gonna land and it's gonna croak. But here, it's like a living, moving thing. You got butterflies and you got wildlife and you got all that great stuff. And you know, kids don't get enough of that nowadays, do they?
No, bringing nature into the backyard, I think, is super important. You're giving the surrounding wildlife a place to have a water source,
Absolutely.
A place to raise their young. I mean, if you're into that kind of stuff and you really want something that's going to be a huge impact in your backyard, I think this is something to consider.
And I think you ought to also take into consideration that you're helping our environment.
Tell me what you guys think about these 3 swimming ponds, rec ponds, natural pools that we showed you today. I really am in love with each and every one of them. I'm at the point now where I have to have one at my house. I love what you've done here. You always impress me with your work, Alan. Hit the subscribe button. I want you to go over to Decker's Pondscapes. Subscribe to Alan because he really, as you can tell, does some amazing work. He's getting better with the videos.
The truth of the matter is Jack has helped me with this video because I don't do the vlogging and I need to, so.
You're on it though, buddy.
To Jack.
Guys, hit the like, leave me a comment, tell me what you think about what Alan's doing up here. Tell me if you think you'd want to have a rec pond in your own backyard. See you on the next one.